Good afternoon. Myself, Dr. Sharad Tripathi. I am your host for today's interaction, and I have Dr. Pradeep Kumar Kashyap with me. We are here to facilitate your interaction with today's speaker, Dr. Nakul Parashar, Director Vigyan Prasar. VIT Bhopal University celebrating National Science Week during 25th of February to 3rd March 2022 to commemorate the discovery of Raman effect by Sir C.V. Raman. This event is catalyzed and supported by National Council of Science and Technology, Communications NCSTC DST New Delhi, and Madhya Pradesh Council of Science and Technology, Bhopal. On behalf of VIT Bhopal, I welcome you all to the 7th lecture of the planned lecture series, which is to be delivered by Dr. Nakul Parashar, Director Vigyan Prasar. Dr. Parashar will be speaking on scope of science communication, popularization, and extension. Dr. Parashar has joined us, and we are quite privileged and delighted to host you, sir, on this platform of VIT Bhopal University. We will have the lecture first, and then we will open the session for Q&A. You can post the questions in the chat box, which we will be taking after the talk. Now, I request my fellow colleague, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Kashyap, to introduce our today's speaker to the audience. It's over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Nakul Parashar has been a university-level teacher and researcher who has been an award science communicator as well. He has been a business leader and entrepreneur and a startup specialist with a PhD degree in material science and master's in computer science and physics. Dr. Parashar has been an author of several research papers, popular science articles, and books. His books has been awarded twice at the national level. Currently, as the director of Vigyan Prasar, he has been instrumental in launching the country's first OTT channel called India Science and spreading the concept of science, communication, popularization, extension in the various Indian languages. He is currently on his way to set up the country's first dedicated SMT news agency called Vigyan Samachar. Dr. Parashar has worked successfully in various geographies of the globe as a senior industry leader in government, non-government, and private sectors. His research passion includes marked up language and applications of artificial intelligence in the domain of enterprises content management. We welcome again Dr. Nakul Parashar. It's over to you, sir, now.
Thank you so much. Very warm good afternoon to one and all. I know it's very tough after a lunch to hold you back and listen to a topic which I guess I'll try to make it as interesting as possible. We all are, I guess, most of us in the audience, Dr. Tripathi can confirm, I guess would be most of them would be students. And I guess if they're all students, it's something very nice that I'd like to share for all of you, that science communication, popularization, and extension, which we have acronymed as SCoPE, has a large, humongous scope for all budding engineers and scientists all over the country. Why I'm trying to say so is because what has happened is there are numerous areas, avenues that we think and talk about, but however, we've never thought about how important it is and a big, huge void that the country has with regards to science communication. We all study science, we all study technology, we all become engineers, we become scientists. But have you ever wondered that if we are asked to convey what we do in our labs, what we do in our research areas, are we able to communicate to a common man on the street what we do? That's a big challenge, and that is where most of us, no matter how excellent we are in our own domains and fields, we either stammer or we fumble, but it is all because we haven't ever had a session or a course that could help us come out of what we've been doing. But as scientists, as technocrats, we have a responsibility towards our society. And this is what is called the scientific social responsibility. We've all heard about corporate social responsibility, but we've also now encountering scientific social responsibility, which means It's a responsibility to ensure that a common man on the street, a common citizen of the country, a fellow citizen of our country needs to know about science communication, needs to know about what's happening in these labs in a language that he can understand, in a language that he can relish, and then imbibe all that we've been doing in our areas of research. We've coined this term SCoPE for the large scope that it possesses. So back to where I was, I would say that this is an area which opens up new opportunities of creativity that you have, and with all that you've studied, and in such a way that both of them are intertwined to produce something which is very relevant to the society, whether it is print media, whether it's electronic media, whether it is social or digital media. Science communication, or the so-called SCoPE, finds its place very importantly. And that is where there is a huge gap. And this is why there is a humongous opportunity that lies there for all of you to grab it and move forward in that area. Now you would wonder who would be the places where you would get these opportunities where you can work in. So it's just not National Geographic or Discovery or Earth, BBC Earth, but there are many other places where you can certainly find a way or a place for yourself, and which is you could do it as a startup. You could think of coming up with innovative ideas to popularize science, to communicate science. And in order to do so, as I say, with technology, with the changing dimensions that we have seen in communication technologies, is where you can adopt them, take them, and move forward. And for that matter, our country, is a huge level playing field. It's got so much of areas of opportunity that you can encash. And for that matter, the country which has such a wide, diverse, culture, and the set of languages that are available gives you a huge playing field to experiment upon and think of setting up a startup in this area of science communication, popularization, and extension. So which means SCoPE has a scope for all, has a scope which is much bigger than we could ever think of. And this is where it is now acquiring a status of one of the most important and widely talked about areas of new opportunities, of new areas of employment, new areas of skill development, and new areas of something that you could provide to the country in terms of a very solid ROI, which we call as return on investments. So as I said, the country has humongous opportunities with languages, is where you could think of. And today's discussion is what I think I would be taking you through a small piece that I had written and had got recently published in the Employment News, is about the significance of Indian languages in science communication, popularization, and its extension, or the so-called SCoPE. Time immemorial, language has been an essential element of effective communication. That way, India has been blessed with so many languages and dialects that make communication a challenge on the one hand, and rich with a comprehensive glossary and usage on the other. One size fits all theory thus does not fit here due to the wide variety of languages. Communication strategies vary from language to language. They vary according to the geography and the number of people that speak a particular language. So why go far? Within Jammu and Kashmir, Kashmiri Urdu and English in Kashmir. With geographical terrain, within Jammu and Kashmir, there are 4 prominently spoken and written languages: Dogri, Hindi, and English in Jammu, whereas it's Kashmiri Urdu and English in Kashmir. While the geographical terrain is hilly and upper reaches of the region remain cut due to snow for a large parts of winters, the number of people who speak Dogri is less than the half the number of Kashmiri as per the last census reports. While these statistics might be challenges for a communicator on foot, the variety of these two languages adds a lot to the repository of words and their usage. However, with technology, we have seen how several impediments have been overcome with the aid of technology based communication tools during the past 2 years. COVID or no COVID, people have admitted technology in their lives to ensure that communication channels remain always open. Classroom teaching, group meetings, street plays, and many more that required in person involvement has seen a shift to the online medium. Things continue to happen, yet, from experts' perspectives, the efficacy of communication was found to be diluted. Amidst all this, science communication and popularization were not an exception. Science communicators faced similar issues. To reach every nook and corner of the country, all their in person activities took a backseat. All those efforts to walk up to remote places and demonstrate hands on experiments, meet people, and interact with them about various science topics could not happen. Like them, everyone waited for things to return to the old normal. Science communicators came together for in person meetings, seminars, workshops, and hands on experiment demos whenever the lockdown and travel embargoes were lifted. While Hindi and English remained the connecting language across the nation, everyone realized that the efficacy of their science outreach efforts could come only through local language as the medium of communication. This is how science communicators started building content, associated products, and practically acceptable glossary of words and usage in the local Indian language. A long way to go, indeed. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari and Kutch to Kamrup, throughout the country, there are 22 languages and more than 19,500 dialects. This variety thus provides a large canvas for the science communicators to work upon. This proves the significance of Indian languages in the domain of science communication, popularization, and its extension, which we call as SCoPE. For this, something perennial for the public to read was required. Periodicals, for that matter, have always been looked upon as an effective vehicle to take the thought to people in a consistent manner. Whether a regular newsletter or a magazine, publication of this kind has always been accepted to supplement a daily newspaper. The shelf life of a periodical is thus higher than that of a newspaper. This way, the longevity of effectiveness of communication made through a weekly or fortnightly or monthly magazine maintains a more prolonged impact on the end user. Having realized this, a number of periodicals started to come up with the help of local science and technology agencies. During the September 2021 timeframe in Kashmir, Vigyan Prasar, the nation's neutral nodal agency for SCoPE, and the Central University of Kashmir in Ganderbal came together to ink a letter of collaboration to work in the domain of science and technology. Thus, the first popular science monthly called Gash, which means vision in Kashmiri, came up. Gash, since its launch, has become very popular in the valley, where teachers of mobile schools, where teachers of these schools teach students of the nomadic community. Vigyan Prasar and the Central University of Kashmir also came together to produce the monthly popular science in Urdu called Tajassus, which means curiosity in Urdu. Incidentally, the script of Urdu and Kashmiri are identical. Tajassus has been in print since 2019 and has been published consistently since then. Vigyan Prasar has recently signed a similar note of collaboration with the Central University of Jammu for bringing out a popular science monthly in Dogri, which is expected in March 2022, and another one in Punjab State with the Punjab State Council for Science and Technology for a popular science monthly in Punjabi, scheduled for April 2022. A similar endeavor in Gujarati, with the help of the Gujarat Council for Science and Technology, Gujcost, is called Jigyasa, which means curiosity in Gujarati. In Marathi, the famous Sathe College of the University of Bombay with VP produces a popular science monthly magazine called Vigyan Vishwa, the world of science in Marathi. Moving down south, the Karnataka Science and Technology Academy in Bengaluru has been producing the popular science monthly in Kannada called Kotuhali, which again means curiosity in Kannada. And this has been there since 2019. In Tamil, a similar effort that started in 2019 with the help of the Tamil Nadu Science and Technology Center in Chennai has been continuously producing a monthly magazine called Arivil Palagai. Arivil Palagai, for that matter, means platform of science. The Telugu counterpart produced by the National Institute of Warangal, NIT Warangal, is called Vigyan Vani, the voice of science. The collaborative effort of Bangla is made jointly between Vigyan Prasar and the Jagdish Bose National Science Talent Search Organization in Kolkata, and it is called Vigyan Katha, the story of science. The popular science monthly is in Assam is called Sandhan, which means research in Assamese, with Tezpur University, and it has been producing it regularly. We have not left Maithili so far, and this is where VP, without any local support, has brought out a popular science monthly in Maithili, which is called Vigyan Ratnakar. Similar to efforts being made for popular science monthlies in Dogri and Punjabi, VP or Vigyan Prasar is closely working with agencies in languages that have been left behind so far, like Malayalam, Odia, Nepali, Bhojpuri, Manipuri, and Konkani. Aggregating content, getting editorially corrected to suit the reader's palate, and getting all of this published in the print form. The success stories of how people have accepted these monthlies manifest that there has been a void in the domain for a long time. Besides publishing monthly magazines, SCoPE encompasses many other facets of communication channels: short science films, popular science books, science literature festivals, science theater, science festivals, and science exhibitions, science communication workshops, science film festivals, and much more are integral part of the so-called SCoPE. Thus, Vigyan Prasar has embarked upon all these programs in a big way through its local partners on an year-on-year enhanced plan. In Bengali, it has already produced and published more than a dozen books on various topics and plans to achieve a similar number of books in all other Indian languages. The journey has just begun. As citizens, we have our social responsibility to create the scientific awareness in society with whatever possible means and methods. This is what we call the scientific social responsibility. To ensure that we accomplish our duty perfectly, it's essential to promote it through our mother tongue or any Indian language that will go a long way and reach the target audience quickly and effectively. It is heartening to see that the government of India has embarked upon plans to create content in the Indian language at the higher education level. The Madhya Pradesh government has led to producing course books in Hindi for students pursuing MBBS in the state. This opens up the door and enhances the significance of Indian languages in SCoPE. There is much more that is being talked about. There's much more that is being thought about as far as SCoPE is concerned. IndiaScience.in is India's first SNT OTT channel. We've all heard of Netflix, we've all heard of Amazon Prime, Hotstar, and others. For OTT, the big void that was there, Vigyan Prasar came up and launched India's first SNT OTT channel. This is yet another opportunity and an avenue for anybody thinking of or setting up a startup in communication area. This I am very happy to share with you that during last 3 years, we've been able to produce more than 3,000 films that are now available on IndiaScience.in, which is India's only SNT channel at the moment. And thus, encourages all others to come forward and utilize the content that we have already produced, right? And if you guys can think of, you could probably set up a startup in this area as well. Similarly, syndicating news, gathering news, collating news, content aggregation using artificial intelligence techniques could be another big area for you to venture in an area which is absolutely not very much tread upon, where there's not much that has been done. So you could amass all these pieces of information, convert the content into something which is palatable for the readers, serve them on different channels of social media, and thereby set up maybe perhaps India's one of those limited science and technology portals that can help you take things forward to the next level. As engineers, as technocrats, with the help of artificial intelligence, with various tools, you can not only do content summarization, you can not only do content extraction, but you can also develop various ontologies that can help you in content aggregation, summarization, and application of all these through the markup technologies. So I invoke all of you to think about areas that are less tread upon, particularly areas like enterprise content management, which is called ECM, where you could certainly think of finding out opportunities and can get into large organizations that only thrive on supplying information to the world. Thomson Reuters, Reed Elsevier, Wolters Kluwer are large conglomerates that work in the area of content management, information support. We all know about Dun and Bradstreet. We all know about Gartner. We all know about Forrester. We all know about these big four companies. Most of these are providing information, content information, right information, because we have so much of information, but we still have a major challenge to provide to the customers the right kind of information. And right kind of information is just not slicing and dicing whatever that is there, but it is important to rehash and make it palatable, readable, with all possible facts and figures put in a way that can help top executives in places where decisions have to be made in such a manner that are accepted by the natural intelligence, yet supported by artificial intelligence. So SCoPE that way provides a lot of scope for each and every one of you to think about it, take it forward, plan it, and with the kind of application areas that I've just spoken about, there are a number of use cases that can be taken up, that can be brought to the fore, and I'm sure you can all think about it, benefit from it, create a new niche for your own self, and move forward in this area, which awaits youngsters, young, bright engineering students like you at VIT to make your career much more brighter. Got a lot more to speak. I could have done that. I've been a teacher at the Delhi College of Engineering for 6 years, and I normally don't stop till my 40 minutes are over. But I truly appreciate and thank Dr. Sharat Tripathi ji for having given me this opportunity to share my thoughts and ideas in whatever little time I could. But friends, young students, young scientists and technocrats, I invoke that hidden spirit within you to come forward and try something and be on your own and set up a new path for others to tread upon. Thank you so much. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.
Thank you so much, sir. We thank you for the motivation, what you have given today to all the participants, and you have made us realize our responsibility towards the popularization of science and technology. So what you have mentioned, that loaded with this very high possibility, having various dialects in our country, we as a society working in the science and technology can communicate and by the same time popularize the this knowledge amongst our fellow citizens for inculcating the scientific temperament. So at this moment, now I'd like to request my fellow colleague, Dr. Pradeep Kashyap, to take few questions from the audience to proceed with the discussion.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions from audience. And the first question is from Suresh Babu, and he's asking, sir, how a regional language journal could advance internationally in the field of science and technology.
A good question. Having worked in the area of journals for a long time, I'll give you an example of how journals from China have now acquired a state and a stage internationally. So it's very important that the content that you accept for publishing is of world class, irrespective of whichever language it is in. And once you find that the content that you have accepted to publish in a regional language journal has been duly peer reviewed, has been duly taken care of by a set of eminent editors on the board, the content that you produce would certainly be referred and would be referenced in major other journals as well. And this is how the impact factor of a research journal comes into fore. For that matter, I would suggest you that in case if you're planning to start a regional language journal, please ensure that whatever you choose to do is of international quality, in a sense that there are a number of, say for example, in Indian languages, if we talk about, we have so much of scientific power that we have produced in so many years, that people who are now acclaimed, international acclaim, are now there on the board of research journals, irrespective of whichever language they come from. And for example, there are a lot of people who speak Telugu and have donned the American science and technology, right? Could be hunted for, could be asked, could be requested to be a part of your editorial board, and that way you would probably invite excellent quality of content that can then take and make your research journal of an international level. So possibilities galore. It is just that there has to be a will to do it.
Thank you, sir. Another question from one student, and he's asking, how can we publish popular science article in Vigyan Prasar?
Oh yes, Vigyan Prasar publishes Hindi and English popular science magazine called Dream 2047. You could send your articles, if you write in Hindi and English, you can send them to Vigyan Prasar's website, which is vigyanprasar.gov.in. And you could even send it to me at director@vigyanprasar.gov.in, and we would certainly have that looked into it. And if it is found that the article is interesting and is not been published earlier, or has been published in such a way that it is absolutely unique, we'll certainly give it a chance. However, if you want to write in regional languages, during my discourse, I had spoken about number of different journals, magazines that we produce in different languages. So whichever mother tongue you speak or you talk, you could perhaps write those articles in those languages and send it to our local partners who publish them. So for example, as I said, CUK for Kashmiri and Urdu, we have CUJ, which is Central University of Jammu for Dogri, we have Punjab Council for Council of Science and Technology for Punjabi, so on and so forth.
Thank you, sir. The next question is, does the Vigyan Prasar also provide some kind of training for science popularization?
Yes, we do, and we have partnered with more than 50 universities all over the country, where there are a lot of courses in various mass communication and journalism, where we've added credit courses for science communication. Besides this, we've been conducting regular free, and some of which are paid workshops that we organize all over the country. Indian Science News Association, ISNA, in Kolkata has been a partner with us on a regular basis, and they conduct 3 such programs every year. And these 3 programs that they conduct are done all online. So Feel free, in case if you're unable to go to Kolkata, you could probably join online as well. Keep an eye on ISNA website and they'll be helpful to you. As I said, Vigyan Prasar continuously conducts such courses all over the place. Particularly for Bhopal, we have now in touch with the partners, the Madhya Pradesh Council of Science and Technology, MP Cost, and we would certainly be in. We are planning to be in Bhopal in the month of April to conduct country's first large mega conference of 2 days on science communicators in Hindi.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next question is about the startup that you have mentioned in your talk. And it is, I mean, the question related how we can approach for such a startup for this popularization of the science.
Right. So there are well, I would say umpteen opportunities for startups that I could think of. And I would certainly be very happy to support any such idea that you might have. But there are umpteen areas, domains of science communication where one can think of establishing a startup in this area. For that matter, social media is a big platform that produces a lot of very attractive, remunerative returns on what you invest into it. And for that matter, if you can produce a collection of videos that produces a lot of scientific content that is interesting, is very creative, I'm sure you will get a lot of returns to it. And through advertisements with it, there are ample opportunities of nice return on investments. So this is one on the social media. Now, for example, if you really want to do something, there's a lot of hands-on activities, toys and kits that you can create, think of, develop. And in periods of COVID, where we've all learned to live on a basis of if anything was to be delivered, it's all delivered through online. So if you can develop interesting toys and kits and do it yourself kits, you're all engineers, you're all technocrats, and I'm sure you can translate science into action through these toys and kits. They're very popular all over the place, and particularly in remote areas like Northeast, right in places near in Madhya Pradesh and other places. If you are able to produce these kits, which then you can certainly, piggyback major bigger players like Byju's and others, and create educational content which is required in a big way. We've all seen the success of Byju's in a very short time. We've all seen how Khan Academy in America is one of the leading players for disseminating science to the masses and to students of higher education as well as school education. So there are ample opportunities that you can utilize. And if you are a student of data science, you could probably do it much more smarter, much more nicer way by using R and other languages and converting them into products which could be, much better, much faster to reach the customers. So it's all about, go-to-market strategies that you'll have to plan in such a way. I'll be glad to, work closely in case if you have ideas. And who knows, all seen Shark Tank nowadays. Who knows, somebody from you would shine on a Shark Tank.
Thank you, sir. Something related to a question: what are the schemes for the student there to popularize science?
We normally do a lot of work in different formats. We have clubs. We have network clubs that we have already established. And I would invoke VIT Bhopal to establish one WIPNet club as well, through which what we do is we provide a lot of content, we provide a lot of kits, we provide a lot of information that can help you guys to create new products out of it. So developing new products, getting actively into various activities of Vigyan Prasar, and we continuously do in the areas of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering that can be realized for social benefit. So please feel free to write to us and we'll be happy to respond to your particular and specific queries as well.
Thank you so much, sir. You have put light on how an individual can contribute, even that the motives of the Vigyan Prasar in the schemes of the government of India. But here I just wanted to ask you that as an institution, is there a way that how VIT Bhopal can be associated with Vigyan Prasar in taking these schemes forward?
One very wonderful idea and a very good idea, because VIT Bhopal, I think, plays a very important role where you produce a number of bright students, bright engineers and technocrats on a yearly basis, and we'll be glad to get associated. There are a number of projects that we can think of doing together, some of which are very much liked by AICTE as well. So that could also be a feather in your cap. Having said this, we could certainly work in areas of, as I said, developing new modules, kits, toys, DIY kits. That's one. We could also form a VIPNet club within VIT where students who are interested can come forward, and we could help them train how to, make films using handheld devices and other things as well, so that they produce something tangible at the end of their career, and they leave behind a lot of room and things that VIT could be proud of. So so on a print, we could probably ask them to write articles on a regular basis for print and social, and they could probably also contribute to the blogs. So that way what happens is after you do your graduation or post graduation, all that matters is you carry a list of your publications. So nowadays if you have a body like Vigyan Prasar, which is associated with VIT, there's a platform that we can provide to the students where their material that has been written can be published on a periodic manner as well, and that leaves a room for them. Besides this, we are working very closely with the MP Cost in Bhopal, so you could also get associated, and we can have tripartite and different kinds of means of collaboration. A number of projects can be thought of. So opportunities galore. I think I'm quite excited and gung-ho about bringing all of this to VIT, and similarly expect the kind of excitement from your side as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for a nice talk and such an interactive discussion. So once again, on behalf of VIT Bhopal establishment, the administration as well as the management, I thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us in the celebration week of National Science Week. So there is one announcement for the participants. So tomorrow we'll be having two lectures, one by Mr. Dhananjay Rawal. He is a science enthusiast and communicator. He will be speaking on science and technology in ancient Indian temples. And then we'll be having another lecture just after this. It will be delivered by Dr. Anil Bharadwaj. He is the director of Physical Research Laboratory, Ahmedabad, and he will be speaking on Indian planetary missions. So once again, from on this platform of VIT Bhopal, on behalf of VIT, we thank our today's speaker, Dr. Nakul Parashar. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.